The Leap is about giving you the ability to explore your potential so you can keep up with the fast-paced world we live in. Leap into the future with Flo's broadband packages. Turbo 10, $75. Turbo 20. Turbo 30. And introducing Turbo 100. Leap. Let's evolve as people.
This is CC6 Newsnight Weekend Review for November 11th to November 14th, 2013. It was the week in which some government ministers said no to the 6% salary increase. The SMC said it has vacancies for a new CEO and a new chairman. Staff at the Board of Tourism took to the streets in protest against their pending termination, and the Minister of Finance dismissed international calls for devaluation of the EC dollar. In sports, disciplinary committee to decide on the fate of Lime Paradise after they failed to show for a rescheduled match. Stay with us to bring you details when we return.
Now it's easier and more convenient to pay your Flo monthly bills when you use the check drop box at our Dusty Highway office. Simply write your name and account number on an envelope with your check enclosed and deposit it into the check box, or write your phone number at the back of the check, attach the check to the bottom portion of your bill, then deposit it into the check box. It's that easy. For more information on bill payment option, visit our website at www.discoverflow.co. Flow, watch, talk, click.
Large windows, large doors, small windows, small doors. At St. Lou Metal, the size doesn't matter. You order the size you want and we make it to your specifications. If you need our new heavy-duty casement windows or half-inch impact or laminated glass or any other doors and windows, no problem. What size? Any size. You get it at St. Lou Metal. And coming soon, PVC windows and hurricane shutters. St. Lou Metal, 19 Frequente Industrial Park, powered by Grenadian Innovation.
Thanks for joining us. I am Samantha Williams-Worm. Government will be able to save approximately $300,000 over the next 57 months now that most government ministers have decided to forego the 6% salary increase. But the Prime Minister says he strongly defends the cabinet members who will take the increase.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, says over 90% of government ministers have agreed to forego the 6% increase to their salaries, which they are entitled to. Addressing post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday, the PM says while it is the norm for ministers to get automatic increases consistent with that of public servants and which had become due in May 2013, cabinet members decided that it is best to waive that increase in light of the country's dire financial situation.
The ministers of government, most of them, have decided that it appears that this 6%, which is minuscule in the context of the overall picture, is getting in the way of the future of this country, and they don't therefore want to forego, most of them I said, that increase.
He says, however, he will also strongly defend the few ministers who have opted to take the increase, and anyone who suggests they should not is morally bankrupt.
I do make the point, though, that individual parliamentarians has the right, if they wish, if they decide they cannot afford to give it up. That is their fundamental right. And I will defend their right individually to accept the increase.
The nation's leader says the most important issue on government's agenda for this country right now is implementing the homegrown program, and he will not let anything distract the aim of that goal. PM Mitchell also says ministers have decided to forego gratuity payments owed to them over the past 5-year period and calls on members of the opposition to do likewise.
And since there are some moralists outside there who want to pretend that they are so decent and they're so interested in this country, and that this time is so much a difficult time for citizens, and they want to make a sacrifice and they won't accept any increase at this time. Albeit the increase would be minuscule because they're not even working in government at this time. I call upon all of them, all who are very patriotic, are so concerned about the country's future. I call upon every one of them to do the same thing the Prime Minister leads. We want others to follow.
The nation's leader says he will not rest until he gets noticed that members of the opposition have foregone the gratuity payments as well. He says if all parliamentarians forego the gratuity payments, it will amount to more than $1 million, while the refusal of the salary increase to government ministers will save the country approximately $65,000 per year. Blossom Alexis Welsh, CC6 Newsnight.
3 months after the conclusion of Spice Mass 2013, some new appointments are expected to be made as the positions of both the CEO and chairman have become vacant.
The Spice Mass Corporation will soon have new faces in 2 of its senior positions, as the post of Chief Executive Officer has been vacant since the end of September, and the present chairman is expected to issue his resignation at the end of this month. Notice of the CEO vacancy has been placed in local newspapers as well as the SMC's Twitter account, and officials are hoping that the position will be filled soon in an effort to continue planning and preparations for Spice Mass 2014. Vice Chairman of the SMC, Archie Bain, did not want to say much about how the CEO post became vacant.
The former CEO, Mrs. Woodruff, and the Spice Mass Corporation has since parted company, so we are looking for someone to fill that vacancy, to fill that position as soon as possible, because we are in the process of planning Spice Mass 2014, and we want to ensure that all plans are in place before the beginning of the next calendar year.
Was she dismissed or did she resign?
I would prefer not to go into that area. I would just say for now that we have since parted companies.
A source close to the situation told CC6 Newsnight that the former CEO allegedly failed to show up for a post-2013 Carnival meeting as she had left the island with no official notification. Meanwhile, the chairman is expected to hand in his resignation in the coming weeks.
What I can say for now is that the chairman has indicated that he would be traveling to spend time with his spouse in Cuba, and I guess announcements would be made in the near future regarding the filling of that position.
Okay, so how soon do you think you may be looking for one?
I would say before the end of this month.
In the meantime, suitably qualified people for the position of Chief Executive Officer of the Spice Mass Corporation are asked to submit their application by this Friday.
We're looking for someone who has good management skills, management experience, someone who can work on their own, someone who has good negotiating skills, who can prepare projects, prepare sponsorship proposals, and someone who can create a good relationship with the stakeholders of Carnival.
Any Carnival experience needed?
Carnival experience would be a plus, but it's not necessary, because with Carnival experience also comes the different baggages of prior involvement in Carnival. So it's not a necessity. The chairmanship of the SMC is decided by Cabinet and by the Minister responsible for culture. So it's not really a vacant position that would be advertised on the market per se.
Blossom Alexis Welsh, CC6 Newsnight.
Staff at the Board of Tourism took to the streets with their protest against some issues with the winding up of the board, as they believe they should be guaranteed employment with the new Grenada Tourism Authority.
Leading hotelier in Grenada, Sir Royston Hopkins, during an interview with CC6 Newsnight on Tuesday, says he welcomes the transition from the Grenada Board of Tourism to the Grenada Tourism Authority. Sir Royston says he was one of the hoteliers that championed the move through a series of meetings with former GBT Director Simon Steele. The GTA is designed by former Barbados Tourism Minister Noel Lynch, who is seen as one of the most successful tourism ministers in Barbados, Sir Royston says, and who has designed tourism authorities for other Caribbean countries.
He designed the tourism authority in St. Vincent, and the tourist board empowered him and retained him to develop an authority. And I don't think anybody else has had the experience in the region or in the Southern Caribbean that he has in developing authority, because the Barbados Tourism Authority is one of the most successful working authorities in the region.
Most members of the Board of Tourism in the past have all been political appointees as far as he can recall, Sir Royston says, and the Grenada Tourism Authority is the way to curb this problem.
However, over the years, all governments, barring none, including this one, was never comfortable with putting $18, $20, $25 million in the hands of not people who don't know what they're doing, but people who never had the kind of experience to spend government and taxpayers' money for the marketing and regulation of tourism. So as a result, the accusation with all governments, with the present form of the tourist board, is that they were formed as very big bureaucratic organizations.
The Board of Tourism was heavily weighted with administrative costs, leaving very little for product development and marketing.
First of all, the authority is vested with a lot more power than a tourist board. An authority has the power to go out and leverage finance, raise monies as they go along, and then with an authority, the persons you'll have on the tourism authority are people who I would assume have a lot of managerial experience in how businesses are operated.
The GTA is expected to sustain itself and generate revenue, Sir Royston says, although like the GBT it will be given government subvention. Its success will be determined by how this subvention is used. With the transition to the Grenada Tourism Authority, Sir Royston says he hopes that the tourism sector in Grenada will be better marketed and more revenue can be generated for the economy. Sherry-Ann Noel, CC6 Newsnight.
When we return, phase 3 of the payout to BICO policyholders to begin soon.
Only one dishwashing liquid can do the job. Quicks is the expert in taking out the toughest grease easily. You know you can trust it. Quicks cuts grease better, full stop.
Extraordinary is the beauty of our beloved island. It's a family picnic to a place where we will always remember. It begins with small steps, which grow into giant leaps. As we grow, extraordinary passes from generation to generation. Our traditions and culture are all extraordinary. And we all know that every day there are people among us who do extraordinary things. Grenada is extraordinary. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
The Leap is about giving you the ability to explore your potential, so you can keep up with the fast-paced world we live in. Leap into the future with Flo's broadband packages. Turbo 10, $75. Turbo 20. Turbo 30. And introducing Turbo 100. Leap. Let's evolve as people.
Breeze removes stains in the first wash. The other detergents, not always. You have to wash it all again and use twice the amount. So, which one costs more? Do the math. Choose Breeze. Unbeatable stain removal.
Welcome back. An international organization is calling on the OECS countries to adopt the US dollar or devalue the EC dollar. But Grenada's Prime Minister says there is no justification to take either route.
The US-based Moody's Investor Services is calling for a devaluation of the EC dollar, it says, in a bid to assist the region in addressing the debt crisis. Moody's has given a negative outlook on the future of regional debt, predicting a high probability that Belize and Jamaica will relapse into default and noting that Grenada is currently restructuring its debt for the second time since 2004. But addressing members of the media on Tuesday, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell says all regional leaders will have to agree, and he gave his stance on the matter during a video conference with the ECCB on Tuesday morning.
Based on the reports and the analysis I've seen, there is not a justification for devaluing the dollar at this time. What is sad about all this, and I ask myself, why are some institutions pushing this at this time? They cannot give you a factual justification for recommending this. They're also saying that they don't expect it to be implemented, yet they're putting it out there. So you have to ask yourself, what is the ulterior motive?
The Moody's report noted that St. Kitts and Nevis defaulted on its debt in 2011 and that Antigua and Barbuda restructured its debt in 2010. Prime Minister Mitchell says, however, he doubts regional leaders will agree to the devaluation.
We have problems, we have challenges, but we have serious solutions to the problem. And as long as we do what we have to do internally, no one will be able to come and tell us to do foolishness that can hurt our children and our grandchildren's future.
The PM, who is also Minister of Finance, says there is another matter that may have some credit to it, but it may take some time to implement.
There was also an issue which you hear a lot about the indigenous banks in the OECS, and they need to merge more of them to make them to make the capital of those in one institution to be able to compete with the foreign banks in the OECS. That has some logic to it, but of course that will take a lot of study and analysis before it can be implemented. And I know there were all sorts of suggestions being made around that, in some of these banks you should cut the deposit, ask depositors to take a haircut. I say, well, you go try that. Won't try cutting people deposit and you'll see what old mass will turn in these regions.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Sir Dwight Venner, said last month that maintaining the stability of the EC dollar and the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union's financial system has been the bank's major achievement over the 30 years of its existence. In addition, Moody's Investor is also suggesting that the sub-regional organization of Eastern Caribbean states adopt the US dollar as its official currency.
BICO policyholders in the Eastern Caribbean can look forward to Phase 3 of a payment program soon, as the committee set up to deal with the issue is in the process of finalizing another disbursement for policyholders.
Policyholders with the collapsed British-American insurance company may soon be receiving some more of their funds, says Timothy Antwine, chairman of the regional committee which advises governments in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union on the issue. Mr. Antwine was speaking with CC6 Newsnight at his office in St. George's recently, and he spoke of the plans for Phase 3 of payments to the policyholders.
I'm hoping there will be an announcement perhaps in the next couple weeks. We are planning a Phase 3. Right now we've done Phase 2. In Grenada, about close to 400 people have got about just over $4 million in the last few months for Phase 2. That's people with EFPAs up to $30,000.
Mr. Antoine says the committee has continued discussions with the relevant stakeholders since the last disbursement of funds in December 2012.
It's not what we really want to do, but we have to do what we have to do based on the monies available to us. So based on the monies available to us, we are recommending to the governments that we do a phase 3. So as soon as that is considered by the governments, if it is approved in terms of the approach that our core committee is recommending, then an announcement will be made. So work continues every week, and by core.
As it relates to the CLICO situation, Mr. Antoine says proposals are on the table and are being discussed among the countries in the Eastern Caribbean and Barbados. Sherry-Ann Noel, CC6 Newsnight.
As the festive season is ushered in, the Royal Grenada Police Force has unveiled its Christmas Awareness Program to urge members of the public to take precautions when it comes to protecting themselves and their belongings.
The Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force has planned initiatives surrounding security measures for the Christmas season, and these were announced at a media conference at their headquarters at Fort George on Thursday. According to Inspector Rebecca Jones of the Community Relations Department, the program, which is being rolled out immediately, is focused on public awareness, crime prevention, and general public protection. She outlines the steps that can be taken to enhance crime prevention within the wider community.
We strongly encourage homeowners to always ensure your windows and doors are securely fastened and valuables made difficult to reach. Business owners should pay particular attention to securing their premises and exercise caution with financial transactions. As individuals, we must remain alert and cautious with our valuables and also reduce the likelihood of fires in the home.
She says the bus drivers also have to be extra vigilant over the Christmas period, and the public must also take responsibility to police the nation.
We take this opportunity to encourage our nation's bus drivers to exercise care on our roads during the seasons. As you know, passengers, they are not just another $2.50. Parents, know where your children and young ones are this season. They remain in your control. The general public is hereby encouraged to engage in policing our nation this season, keep watch, and report any suspicious activity in your surroundings to the police.
Inspector Jones also gives a warning to opportunists intent on committing criminal offences against tourists and says offenders will meet with swift prosecution. The Community Relations Department head comments on the recent spate of robberies on the island.
The economic state of any country could have an impact on the criminal activities. But I must say, Angela, that the police remain determined in executing the law against any person committing the offenses of stealing, housebreaking, robbery, sacrilege. Wherever you go to commit that crime, the police will catch up with you and we will take you to court. So persons must not be misled thinking that poverty is a cause of crime. Yes, it is. But it does not give you the right to go ahead and break person's home and steal and satisfy yourself. Criminal activities remains a choice by everyone.
The inspector also used the opportunity to appeal to the public within families to resist the urge for domestic violence. Wayne Francis Wright, CC6 Newsnight.
Coming up in Sports Sun 6, GFA to honor outstanding contributors to football in Grenada.
The Leap is about giving you the ability to explore your potential so you can keep up with the fast-paced world we live in. Leap into the future with Flo's broadband packages. Turbo 10, $75. Turbo 20. Turbo 30. And introducing Turbo 100. Leap. Let's evolve as people.
Cool me down. Nothing kinda hard in my country. So I open up a yes. Hey. In order that I should marry. When did you jump so car? Friendliest people you'll ever meet. Wise man with black stone beside it.
Live on Community Channel 6 every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's Sound System Saturday.
Grenada, you are being watched by the hardest hitting commentary team ever assembled, and they tell you as they see it every Monday at 8 p.m. on Community Channel 6. Watchdog.
Biting commentary.
A biting commentary. Repeat broadcast Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Biting commentary.
Welcome back. Sporting fans, we kick off with football. The Grenada Football Association is making preparations to host its first ever annual awards ceremony in December.
The Grenada Football Association is making preparations to host its first ever annual awards ceremony in December. The ceremony is aimed at rewarding outstanding people on and off the field of play for their efforts in helping to develop the sport of football over the past years. President of the GFA, Chenny Joseph, on Wednesday gave some details about the event.
The executive will be working towards having an annual awards ceremony, and we are going to try to work towards having the first such awards ceremony this year. I want to use this opportunity to advise or to inform the general public, and in particular corporate Grenada, that we'll be calling on you for small contributions to assist us in fulfilling our desire to have this award ceremony, where we will also want to recognize all of the individuals who have performed well during the year, including the media. We have identified opportunities to also say thank you to the media in such an award.
Acting General Secretary of the GFA, Alexander Roberts, says plans for the hosting of the awards are well on the way.
We thought it's very timely that we have such an award ceremony. Plans are on foot to host a very attractive and what I would say incentive feel award ceremony, where we hope to give to give notable prizes and so on to persons both on and off the field who would have contributed to the success of the GFA over the last 12 months, the last season.
The inaugural GFA Awards ceremony is scheduled tentatively for December 14th.
The fate of Lime Paradise lies in the hands of the Grenada Football Association's disciplinary committee following the team's no-show for the resumption of an abandoned game against Glasgow Hard Rock in the GFA Premier League on Sunday.
Both teams were rescheduled to meet at the Progress Park in St. Andrew for the completion of the game, which was abandoned by the match referee on October 27th because of a raid of spectators on the field of play who were reacting to a penalty kick being awarded to Hard Rock. Sports on 6, seeking to get clarity on the matter, met with GFA's Acting General Secretary Alexander Roberts at GFA's Secretariat on Tuesday.
The Competitions Committee took the decision to send the matter to the Disciplinary Committee for their take on it.
He says the decision to boycott the match by Paradise does not reflect on the GFA's leadership.
The GFA is bigger than the clubs, and the GFA has rules and regulations, codes of conduct that governs its competition, and no club should think that they are a law unto themselves. And so that is why the GFA would rule. And whenever the disciplinary committee rules, I would be happy to after I would have communicated that information to the two clubs involved, I would be happy to discuss further the ruling of the disciplinary committee. But certainly, it's in bad taste for clubs to think that they're bigger than the association. And we wouldn't want at all to communicate that, allow that to be communicated to any club out there. The GFA is in charge of the competition, and clubs should abide by whatever decisions that are made by officials of the GFA.
He says as it stands, Paradise remain in the runners-up position on the points table pending the decision from the disciplinary committee.
And finally, Grenadian, Windward Islands and West Indies under-15 and under-17 cricketers Emmanuel Stewart and right-handed batsman Dara Cyrus left the island on Wednesday for Trinidad and Tobago.
The two players will join a group of regional players on an invitational under-16 team from Trinidad and Tobago to tour Australia for 3 weeks. The regional squad will leave Trinidad and Tobago on Thursday for San Francisco, where they will play a one-day game against a select team before leaving on Saturday for Australia. Stewart, who is from the sister isle of Carriacou, and Cyrus were both selected by All Sport Promotions of Trinidad and Tobago as two of the most outstanding cricketers from the region. The duo has skippered national squads and are hoping to make a good impression on the trip.
That's all we have for you in Sports on 6. We recap the headlines next. Recapping the headlines, it was the week in which some government ministers said no to the 6% salary increase. The SMC says it has vacancies for a new CEO and a new chairman. Staff at the Board of Tourism took to the streets in protest action against their pending termination. And the Minister of Finance dismissed international calls for devaluation of the EC dollar. In Sports Disciplinary Committee to decide the fate of Lion Paradise after they failed to show for a rescheduled match. That brings us to the end of CC6 Newsnight Week in Review for November 11th to November 14th, 2013. Top stories from CC6 Newsnight can also be seen on our Facebook page, Flow Community Channel 6. On behalf of the news team, I'm Samantha Williams-Worm, thanking you for joining us.